Britt Baker fans, I got some bad news for you. In this video, we are going to break it down because Britt Baker may be on her way out of AEW sooner rather than later. Now, Britt Baker, a top star in AEW for years, especially during the early years, 2019, 2020, 2021, during the pandemic era, she's not been seen in action on AEW television since November 11th when she worked a match with Penelope Ford on Dynamite. Now, after the match, she had to stare down with Serena Deeb. This led to fans thinking that, okay, they're about to feud. Only problem is that storyline has since been dropped. Now, this comes after she was on a long hiatus, partially due to creative and partially due to a medical issue. She returned in June at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view event, starting a pretty good feud with Mercedes Moné over the TBS Championship. She put Moné over at All In over in London. And then it was a start and stop push. Now, there have been issues with Britt Baker in AEW, and we're about to address it. There was a massive news report that came out from Wade Keller of the PW Torch, and we are going to break it down. What you should know is this. It is not just a talent frustration. It is not just a Tony Khan frustration. It is across the board, and there's so many layers to this story. According to Wade Keller of PW Torch, Baker may be done with AEW as people in the promotion think that she is in the same boat as Miro, Ray Phoenix, Ricky Starks, and others who are simply just not being used by the promotion. With those names, aside from Britt Baker, the belief is they are WWE bound. Ray Phoenix, waiting on his contract, which had time added to it. Ricky Starks, waiting for his contract to expire. Miro, waiting for his contract to expire. They all have WWE interest. Malachi Black is another one who has WWE interest. Therefore, they will go to WWE. The belief is, of course, everything can change, but that's the belief. Now, Keller reports that there is frustration with her in AEW and is said to be widely unpopular within the women's locker room. Now, she previously had a locker room incident with MJF. Essentially, she was talking trash about MJF to others in the locker room, and Alicia Atout, who is the girlfriend of MJF, caught wind of it, went to MJF, and then he confronted her about it. Okay, that ended up with Britt Baker being suspended for, I believe, 2 weeks, maybe 3. And it was a big deal at the time. That happened last year. Now, the rumor that AEW is not using her because of her breakup with Adam Cole, that is simply untrue. That is not the case. There is no heat on her for the breakup. He's not causing it or anything. And it was added that the belief is that AEW CEO Tony Khan is fed up with her enough that he's just simply not using her. Now, keep in mind that that could change and that she could get a call. While Baker is not expected to be back on AEW television imminently, it was pointed out, hey, look, if there's 5 injuries to the AEW women's roster, it could easily be a situation in which Tony Khan calls her up and goes, okay, it's a break glass type scenario of, hey, I know we've put you on ice for the last, 4 months, and then, hey, we need you on television. We need you to fill out these spots. We need you to fill up these roles in which we desperately need someone to fill. Right, and then they use her accordingly. She's a utility player. Then they go off and perhaps build up other talent, younger talent, established talent, whatever the case may be, whatever the creative may be. I have talked about this where I believe that Britt Baker needs to go from AEW. She needs to leave. If there is a slight interest, if there is a simple one minimum salary NXT contract offered to Britt Baker, which I don't expect to be the case, but let's say hypothetically, if I'm Britt Baker, I'm leaving AEW. It's not just this report. It's not just the fact that, she's not likable. It's not the fact that Tony Khan doesn't use her. It's everything. If you look at her and if you put all of the pros and cons that come along with Britt Baker, what she offers, what are her strong suits, what are her lacking points, right? She fits the WWE model way better than she does an AEW model. A WWE model is more sports entertainment. It's more storyline, character, promo, charisma-esque driven type booking and product. That's who they go with. That's who they book strongly. AEW is mostly, can you put on a 5-star match and can you make Tony Khan like you? If you can do those two things, then you're going to be used quite a bit, right? They use storytelling through matches, not promos. You don't have to have the most um, charisma in the world to be a top tier star. And so it just goes with that, right? She has outgrown the AEW model. AEW was tremendously grateful, or I should say, she should be very grateful for AEW because they gave her her first big break. And she was pushed to the moon. And to her credit, she capitalized on that. They gave her an opportunity, she ran with it, and she did very well with it. But just because she was a big star in AEW a few years ago does not mean that she's still a big star today, because AEW simply doesn't use her as that. They needed a top tier star that they felt like still had some name recognition, who had some name star power. That's Britt Baker. And they needed someone to get to help get Mercedes Moné more over. And that's exactly what they did. They had Britt Baker come in there. They built her up pretty strongly. It was a big match. It was a big clash. And then they put Mercedes Moné over her. And then she hasn't really done much since. Another thing that Keller said, and I wrote a whole a recap on Wrestling News Co., which was even when she was a top star, she was not very likable within the AEW locker room. There's a lot of frustration with her because she's hard to deal with. One person said that no one in the locker room wants to have her come back. Obviously, that's a broad, bold statement. Some people, I'm sure, do like her, but she's said to be hard to deal with. She is someone in which is very territorial with her role, with her placement in AEW. That doesn't help things, right? So the attitude is not very great. And the most interesting part about this report was when it comes to her being fiercely territorial of her role in the company in a way that just felt unsustainable. And that's what he was hearing. The attitude right now at the moment, the belief is that Tony Khan is fed up with her, that he's going to be focusing his television time on others, and he doesn't know what that means with her pay and contract status. But that is very, very damning for the reputation of Britt Baker. Now, keep in mind that the wrestling business does emulate, I should say, a lot of high school just drama. This could be true. This could be not true. This could be the opinions of, 4 people. This could be the minority opinion. You don't ever know. And until Britt Baker comes out there and defends what this is, right? And it's going to be interesting because she does have a tendency to fire back at these types of reports. Will she fire back at this report? I'm very curious, and we will sit back and relax and see how this is going to play out.